Good evening. I'm PK Newby. Welcome to The Nutrition Doctor is in the Kitchen. Tonight, I'm very excited to make something easy and yet incredibly tasty with you. I love it when I have leftovers. So when I was thinking about what to make for dinner, I saw in my fridge that I had lots of things left over from last week. I had some leftover greens like kale and collards. I also had some leftover garbanzos, some leftover chunky vegetable sauce, and when I see all those things, I think to myself, hearty vegetable soup. So all I needed to do is make up a stock and get some tomato juice, and then I'm going to be putting together a fantastic soup. So leftovers are fantastic. It can make a healthy meal, and a meal like this is ready in less than 30 minutes. So stick with me and I'll show you how it's done. All of my soups begin with onions and garlic sauteed in olive oil, so let's get that going. I'm going to turn on the oven to high. That's just to rush. I'll turn it back down to a little bit lower in a minute or two. I'm going to throw some extra virgin olive oil in here. You can use canola or some other vegetable oil if you prefer. And I'm going to just start cutting up some onion. You know, and just for the record, I don't really need to do this because this is kind of how my tomato sauce began, but I want to make something. So I think it's therapeutic to cut vegetables. I personally like it. So I'm just going to get some going. It will freshen up the soup. Always good when you're making soup to make up a big batch that you can share or freeze. My olive oil probably could heat up a tiny bit more, but I'll just throw in the onions, get things started, because I and my husband are very hungry for dinner. And I told you this was way less than a half an hour. Okay, we can hear it actually sizzling, so it's already happening. That's great. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit in just a minute. I'm going to get my garlic ready to go. Best way is to smash it, then it comes right out of the peels. I'm going to hold that aside for a second. Let's turn down the heat here a little bit. I want to season these with a little bit of salt and pepper. And I'm ready to give this a stir. Okay, while that's happening, I'm going to cut some greens. You add the garlic at the end, by the way. You don't want to burn the garlic. So all this is some old collards, I think. Actually, this is actually kale. I'm going to cut it in very small pieces. And I'm going to take some of these collards as well. These dark green leafy vegetables are loaded in nutrients, especially vitamin A. And they're a little bit older than I might want to use in a salad, so perfect for soup. It's looking like I need a little bit more olive oil in here. And I'm going to re-season with a little bit more salt and pepper. Okay, while that's happening, let's go back to our garlic. Just gonna give that a quick little dice. In that goes. Okay, if you come back here, actually, you'll be able to see how much these have cooked down, which is great because this is just one part of the soup. So these greens are perfect. Getting pretty excited about this soup. We're ready to put some things together here. I'm going to start with tomato juice. I did not make this myself. But it is a low sodium brand. Very important to watch your sodium in your canned and processed goods. Okay, so this is bubbling together. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit while I bring together the rest of the soup. I'm going to add some vegetable stock. I made this up myself. I have a separate video about that. If you don't want to make it on your own, just go ahead and buy a store-bought brand. Just make sure there is no sodium, because it is loaded in sodium. Okay, that's looking great. I'm gonna add the tomato sauce. This is the big thing, because this is all my seasonings in it. This is a chunky tomato sauce that has all kinds of things in it, like spinach, zucchini, red peppers, green peppers. It's a little bit spicy. It's gonna be perfect for this soup. This is looking like a hearty vegetable soup. And I am going to add in my garbanzos. I made these from dried, super easy as well, but if you don't feel like it, use a good store-bought brand. Again, go for the no salt variety. All of these foods you see are loaded in sodium, and Americans get way too much. So if you're gonna buy store-bought things, make sure to read the labels. Oh, that looks terrific. Oh, that is great. That is actually really great. Man, I almost don't think it needs anything. You know, I'm gonna add a tiny bit more stock, just to make it a little bit thinner. That also makes more soup. It also creates more volume with liquid, which actually helps you to feel full when you're eating. So this is looking great. I'm gonna make it a little bit spicy. My husband and I like that. I'm gonna add in some crushed red pepper. If you don't like it, don't add it. That's actually a little bit much. I'm gonna add a little bit of oregano and basil. I'm just really freshening the flavors here, because as I said, we already had a fantastic tomato sauce. That was the beginning. What I'm going to do now is just add in some parsley. Again, it's going to just brighten up those flavors. Adding fresh herbs is always a good way to go. Doesn't need to be perfect. All right. Oh, that is looking fantastic. You've got to come over here and see this. So we, in a very short period of time, I think that was actually less than 10 minutes, we went from leftover greens, leftover garbanzo beans, leftover sauce, which wasn't enough for 2 people, hence the soup. And the next thing you know, I have this massive vat of soup that I'm going to be able to share with a friend of mine. My water is boiling back here. I'm going to make some elbow macaroni. This is whole wheat pasta. Just pour it in there. And in the time that it will take the pasta to cook, I'm going to let the flavors come together and we're going to be ready to serve this. And I'll give this soup just one more taste. That is great. It is such a wonderful soup. So this is what I'm going to do here, and you might find this silly, but basically I like adding the pasta to individual bowls, because if you add it to the entire soup, when you have leftovers the next day, all of the pasta absorbs some liquid and it becomes really mushy. So I don't like that. So I actually just add it to the individual bowls, keep it in the refrigerator, and that way the pasta does not get soggy. What I love about this soup is that not only did it take about 15 minutes to put it all together, it is loaded in nutrition. And that's because of all of the vegetables, because of the whole grain pasta, because of the garbanzos. It's just has tons of fiber, nutrients, phytonutrients, vitamins, minerals, and it's very filling. So if you think soup isn't meal, think again. So I have this ready to go. I'm going to give it a little bit of touch of Parmesan. You can leave this off if you prefer. And all I did while the pasta was boiling was make these 2 gorgeous salads. And isn't that beautiful? Look at those purple carrots. If you've never seen them before, they're unbelievable. And all I'm going to do is add a little bit of red onion on top of my salad. And And just about ready to go for dinner here. So next time you see things left over in the fridge, use them in a soup. It's a great way to go, quick meal, and it's loaded in nutrition. So I will see you next time. Good night.